Hello and welcome to the Adrienne Ross Show. I want to talk a little bit about the game last night between the Indiana Fever and the Seattle Storm. 15-point loss. A lot went wrong in that game, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it in a moment, but I want to start by saying what I did see that I did like in that game, and it has to do with the competitiveness and with the fire we saw in Caitlyn Clark. I'll start with a small portion of the post-game interview she had where she's talking about her competitiveness. So let's look at that first, and then I'm going to piggyback off of that into some other things I really want to get into here.
Caitlyn, you kind of said just that you and Victoria kind of got into it just because of the competitive nature that you have. Seems like just right out of the gate, even as a rookie, like you've came in and kept the same competitive nature that you had in college. I mean, was that, how does that happen, and how do you find that switch where you're just as competitive as you are?
Yeah, I think just being competitive is who I am. It's what I've done my whole career. I think at times there's ways I can probably channel it a little bit better, but that's just basketball at the end of the day. No, that's never gonna change. I'm never gonna lose that. I feel like I'm getting hammered. I don't know. I appreciate Christie getting a tech too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and you said that you feel like you can channel it a little bit better. Are you ever able to channel your frustration into competitiveness? I mean, how does that correlate?
I think that's what I try to do every single time. Is like those moments, like you just want to turn it into a competitive fire and go out there and play, and that's my goal.
Those of you who have been watching these games, you are absolutely not surprised that what transpired between Caitlyn Clark and Victoria Vivens, which the reporter alluded to, happened. You're not surprised at all. I put up a post last night, and I said, this is what happens when officials allow someone to be mauled. Now, on that particular play, which I'm going to show you, in which Caitlyn Clark got another technical, we don't get to see all of the angle from the camera of exactly what happened. Caitlyn just nailed a three-pointer. There was no foul, but something was said, and it ended up being what we saw. And so, like she said, this is basketball. I'm going to be competitive. I'm not going to lose that fire. And she showed this fire. First time I've seen this fire that I'm about to show you since her professional career. And, well, I'll reserve my comment. Let's just take a look at that first, and then I'll say more.
She's going to be setting her own record time and time again.
So when Caitlyn goes off the ball, typically she comes off a stagger on the weak side, but she comes off a pin down here, wide open. Bang!
We might need to update the graphic now. And some extracurricular as Clark's knocked down a couple of deep triples here in the second quarter.
Victoria Vivian's an old Indiana Fever player.
All right. So you see there, to me, in spite of the loss, this was the best point in the game. I don't mean points like you put on the board, but I mean the best part of the game. I'm not one to advocate violence. It's not what I'm doing. I don't want to see a brawl on the court. What I do want to see is Caitlyn Clark standing up for herself, because the fact is she is getting mauled. She's not getting the calls. Then they get down on the other end and officials are blowing the whistle for ticky-tack fouls. I showed you a clip the other day of when they were playing Seattle before, and she got hammered underneath the basket. Now, in this case, there's no foul call. There's no foul there. And then the camera angle is not there. So we don't know exactly what happened, but whatever it was, Cece didn't like it. But then Victoria bumps her. You saw she bumps her, and then Aaliyah Boston gets in and they get separated. But I applaud that, not because I'm some violent person, but I applaud that because at some point, you're going to be frustrated when officials are not doing their job. And it's going to build up, and somebody's going to say something, and you're going to, you know what? I'm done with this. And you're going to have to assert yourself. And I don't know if you noticed it, but when she went over to the sideline, one of the assistant coaches gave her the clap. Timmy gave her the thumbs up on it. Okay? Because I believe that Caitlyn is going to have that competitive fire she just talked about. And when she just said, I feel like I'm being hammered, she doesn't come to the post game all the time and start complaining. But at some point, enough is enough. And I don't know what was said, but I do know the girl bumped Caitlyn too on purpose there. And Caitlyn's like, you know what? You guys want to think that I'm a wimp? You want to think that I'm this girl from Iowa who can't stand up for herself in this league? Because we know that Caitlyn has some fire. We saw that in college, right? So she's got fire, but she's now in a new league. She's being manhandled, and the officials are not calling it. And then now they're clapping off about her anyway. There's all the jealousy that's going on. There are people who are out to prove something. And, so they're so scared of this rookie, they won't even play her straight up. She's frustrated. She's not getting the calls. And whatever was said, you know what? I'm not backing down. And so I actually applaud Caitlyn for showing that fire. I believe she sent a message. She sent two messages. Message number one, I'm not a wimp. I'm not a weakling. I'm going to stand up for myself, even in this league. I'm hearing all the chatter going on. I've been trying to stay above the fray in spite of being knocked around, banged in the head, grabbed on, pulled on, and all this other jealousy and all this she's white because, this is why this and that is happening. And then the frustration builds, okay? And I'm getting hammered on the court. I'm going to send a message. No, I'm not backing down. I'm not a weakling. Message has to be sent. That's message number one. Message number two was to the coach. Whether she meant to or not, whether it was conscious or not, we all saw Coach Sides go to the post-game interview after the last game and say that Caitlyn cost them with her technical. Let me get the technical, she said. Basically, called Caitlyn Clark out after that 30-point game. And you know what Caitlyn is saying right here? I don't really care what she says. I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm not going to be pushed around without pushing back in some way. They want to bring it, let them bring it. So Coach Sides, I respect you as the coach, but even if you throw me under the bus after the game, I'm willing to get teed up when I have to stand up for myself. And they both got tees. She got a tee, and it was a double tee, her and Victoria Vivian's. Okay, great. So let's play ball. But she stood up for herself. She sent a message to the league, okay? She sent the message to her coach. I'm here, and I'm not a wimp, and I'm ready to roll with you if you're ready to roll. Good. Message needs to be sent. All right, so there's that. She's not the only one who was fired up. Coach Sides, again, you remember last time she said, let me get the technical. And you know what? I said it. I showed where she should have gotten a technical when they hammered Caitlyn before and when she played Seattle in Seattle, and other people were saying the same thing. Well, where's the technical? We're not seeing you stand up for your team. We're not seeing you. We're seeing the non-calls and then the bad calls and the inconsistency on the from the officials, and you're not saying anything. You're not defending anything. You're not even challenging anything. So why don't you say you want to get a technical? All right, where is it? Well, Christie Sides, she heard the message. Message received. So let's check her technical out as she defends Caitlyn Clark from poor officiating.
He's 4 years old, potential to team up with Christy Wallace, maybe Sammy Whitcomb, and there's Caitlyn Clark. Just left it short. Whitcomb on the defense. And a technical foul on Christie Sides.
I don't blame her. I do not blame her. It's frustrating over there on the sideline for Coach Sides.
We'll give Sides some credit here because she made a comment after Tuesday's game saying it's going to be her to stick up for the players in this manner, wanting them to be able to keep the technicals off of themselves. Let the coach do that was her message.
Call the first foul, which was on the floor.
So there you have her fire. She said, let me get a technical. She went out. She got the technical. So she received the message that we have been saying. I'm sure she read about it. I'm sure she heard about it. I don't know if she had a conversation with Caitlyn Clark about it, but I know Caitlyn Clark sent the message in her technical last night, and Christie Sides show that she received the message. We want to see more fire. We want to see you defending your players. She was fed up as well, and so she defended Caitlyn, and you know what? It was worth getting a technical foul. So message received. The message we're sending, she has received. So appreciate that. And you heard Caitlyn Clark. I started out with the video of Caitlyn Clark saying, I feel like I'm getting hammered. And she said, I appreciate my coach getting the technical. That's someone calling it like it is. Yes. Yeah, you got to step in. The assistant stepped in and pushed Christie Sides aside. But Caitlyn is telling you, thank you, coach, because I need someone to stand up for me. If she doesn't do that, it's going to keep happening. So you got to let them know, I see what's going on here. I see your double standard here. And I'm not going to keep having my player being jacked up and my other players being jacked up, and you absolutely do nothing. What is going on? So yeah, you have to do that. Just as Caitlyn has to stand up for herself in this league, which seems to think somehow that they can just knock her around, both physically and figuratively. So literally and figuratively, they're trying to knock this girl around. So yeah, but it's another loss, a 15-point loss. And it comes down to this, guys. First of all, kudos to Nalissa Smith. She came out, I believe she dropped 23 points in this loss. She got a chance to be in the starting lineup again. She took full advantage of it. Obviously, Timmy is out, and we hate that. But Nalissa Smith came out and did her thing. Caitlyn had 20 points. She had 9 assists. Now, Caitlyn also played all but about 4 seconds of the game. We talked about the fact that she needs, we don't understand Coach Sides' substitution patterns. She didn't take her out. Looked at in the first quarter where she normally takes her out, she didn't take her out. All right, that's good. I did think in garbage time at the end, she should have taken Caitlyn out at that point. We're not, like I said, Caitlyn's got to get a breather, but this wasn't about a breather. This is at the end of the game when it is out of control. There's no reason for Caitlyn to be on the floor at that point. But anyway, she did much better overall in letting Caitlyn play. But the team, this team, I'm telling you what, I just felt like itching. I mean, it was like, it's just bad basketball. I'm not giving up on the team. I'm not fully throwing them under the bus. I know they have talent, but it's bad basketball. They do not play defense. And they know they're not playing defense. They cannot win games the way they are playing defense. Their lives would be so much easier if they played defense. If they got stops on that end of the court, it will translate into offensive buckets. But when you have to catch the ball out of the rim every time and fully play in the half court, this team that can run and gun, I mean, Leah Boston, she slows it down. The running gun, she doesn't seem to be ready for that. But as a whole, this team can do so much more if they don't have to play in the half court all the time. But if you're not getting stops, it's going to make your offensive possession so much more difficult. If they can get stops and get the ball pushed up the court and get out in transition with the quickness that they're capable of doing, it just makes life easier. Defensively, they are slow. It looked at times like Seattle was just running drills on them, like they were playing with them. If you can't keep your person in front of you, yes, you got to have help defense, and then you got somebody who's got to help the helper. But the point is, you want to be able to keep your person in front of you. You have to be able to keep the person in front of you, okay? And the fact that they can't do that, and then they don't help right, and their defense is horrible, it calls for a long, painful night. And you saw it. I don't think I have ever seen in the few games, of course, they've not had, this is not the 20th game of the season, but we're approaching what, the 10th game? It's ugly. It's just ugly. And it makes me want to itch. You've got to be able to defend. If you can't defend, you cannot win in this league. And then on the other side, when they're doubling Caitlyn Clark, and they had so many opportunities, they're doubling Caitlyn Clark. That means somebody's open. If you would find the open person, which they did very often, and you've got an open shot, you've got to be able to knock down wide open shots. You're not going to win if you cannot defend, and you're not going to win if you can't knock down open shots that you should be making. Why are they going to not? What's going to cause them to stop, double and triple teaming Caitlyn Clark? Well, if you make them pay by getting the ball to the open person, and you start knocking them down, then they're going to have to rethink their strategy. But right now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And people are not knocking down shots. Now, again, I give Nalissa her props because she was dropping it. But they got a lot of improvement to make. And so ultimately, you've got to defend, and you've got to knock down shots. You've got to take care of the basketball. And so they go on tomorrow, Saturday. It's that game. There's a lot of hype around the game because it's Caitlyn Clark, Angel Reese, and then Carmilla Cardoso, I believe, is back from the injury, or here from the injury, because she never got to play. But now I believe she's supposed to be playing. So it's going to be hyped up. And they don't have Timmy. I don't know. And their players, Celeste Taylor, she's not half playing. I don't know. I don't understand Coach Sides' philosophy around that. She takes blame, and we've given her blame. But I also have to say, she is not to blame if you're wide open and you don't make the shot over and over and over. And if you're not keeping your man, your woman, whatever you want, however you want to say it, in front of you, it just causes problems. If you're only going to be able to play in the half court and you still can't drop shots like you need to, it's not good. And so I'm not giving up on the team, but those are just my thoughts. I'd like to know your thoughts. Make sure you, if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Please do like. If you're watching, hit the like button, but also leave a comment. What did you notice? And what do you think about what I said, and about what you're seeing with this team, and even about Caitlyn's technical, Coach Sides' technical, the fire that Caitlyn showed, and said, listen, I'm not going to back down. Also, guys, I want to give a shout out to a YouTube channel. You may know him, DePote B. Frank. He went live on the game last night and he called it CC Watch Party. Go check it out, DePote B. Frank. And I love his content. And so I was in the chat during the game last night as he was doing the play-by-play again. And he asked me, he said, hey, why don't you come on during halftime? Let's talk about the game. And so you can go check that out, that video, DePope, D-A-P-O-P-E, DePote B. Frank. Go check it out. And we got to talk during halftime. And then he had me back for the post-game show, and we talked some more. So he was gracious to have me on and to kind of pick my brain. I got to pick his brain. Check him out and subscribe over there as well. And hopefully he and I will be doing some more stuff together. DePope B. Frank. All right, check him out. All right, Saturday's game, and then they play again on Sunday. So again, when are they going to practice? Really? I'll catch you next time. God bless you abundantly.